Hello, welcome and thank you for watching this session, number 10, where we'll continue discussing some of the areas that divide us, beginning this time with gun control. In beginning this session, I will tell you that I look back today with fondness upon those times as a youngster when my father would take me hunting with him. As I grew older, the trips continued, sometimes with my father, sometimes with other family members, and later with close friends, sharing time together and enjoying the resulting camaraderie. Although I find no fault with those who did not have or did not desire such experiences, I personally found a great benefit in many of the lessons learned during those times. The time spent hunting outdoors when approached in a patient manner, and when it includes teaching safety regarding firearms, and also teaches respect for life, even the life of a wild creature. And if all this is done with great care, it can hold many benefits and worthwhile lessons for a great many youngsters if they have an interest in such things. Outings of this nature, however, should never be forced on any child. The years in passing have gradually brought about a great difference in my thinking about hunting. The change came slowly over an extended period of time, and a contributing factor was the feeling of regret that I sometimes experienced when holding a small animal that I had killed during a hunting trip. Today I regret the killing of even a bothersome insect, and I no longer hunt unless I use a camera instead of a gun. Nevertheless, I still find no fault with those families who take their children hunting during the proper season, as long as they teach the children proper gun safety, proper respect for living things, and as long as they use the animal for food and do not kill simply for the enjoyment of killing. Indiscriminate killing of any creature in that way can be a dark blot upon the soul. For those of you who would say that the taking of any life is wrong, I will remind you that even plants have life. And even those who are strict vegetarians and those who are even more strict as vegans must take the life of a plant to live. I'm aware that there's a difference, but perhaps if you were to try to have more understanding of the other person's point of view, it will be of benefit to all concerned. I would not be the person that I am today without all the experiences of this life, including those times I spent hunting as a young person. However, each person must walk their own path and make their own decisions about such things. It is my opinion that youngsters who spend time hunting with their fathers or other family members, when done properly, can benefit from such experiences. For youngsters who have no interest in hunting or such outings, there are a great many ways in which they can have worthwhile bonding experiences with family and friends and other endeavors. Among those who enjoy hunting, some of those youngsters, like me, will make the decision to move away from that part of their upbringing, while others will not, and I find no criticism for either person. I find no fault in those who enjoy hunting as long as they hunt lawfully with great care, with respect for life and property, and without alcohol, and as long as they keep their guns unavailable to children when the guns are not in use by the adult gun owner. My dad taught me a number of important things when I was young about the handling and use of guns. But the two that I consider to be the most important were these. Never accept the word of any person who hands you a gun and tells you that it isn't loaded. Always verify whether it is loaded or not as soon as it's placed in your hands. The second important fact that he impressed upon me regarding the handling and use of guns is that we should never point a gun at anything unless we plan to kill it, with the obvious implication that one should never point a gun at any person. A great many of the guns that have accidentally taken the life of a person were guns that were not loaded, so to speak, or thought to be not loaded. Those important lessons helped me and those around me remain safe on those few occasions when guns were nearby. I feel that persons who have led a law-abiding life should be able to purchase, after a waiting period of investigation, a rifle or shotgun suitable for hunting. I see no reason why anyone should object to the registration of their firearms, nor do I see any reason why anyone would need exotic or unusual guns of any kind unless one is a licensed collector. Certainly the average person does not need an M16, an AK-47, or a machine gun for hunting, and those who feel that every person has a right to own such automatic weapons cause me to wonder about their judgment and their motives. Handguns are a very different story altogether and need to exist in a more controlled environment. I recall that my father, when he was younger, always took great pride in bringing out a pistol to show to one of his friends. My father had been taught gun safety. He taught it to his sons, and we practiced it, all of us, with great care. Sadly, that's not the case in far too many homes today. In addition, people with good intent who occasionally buy, sell, or trade guns in their home or at gun shows often make the mistake of believing that everyone else, like themselves, is a person of good intent. Experience tells us that that is not the case. Because handguns are so easily concealed and because they are the cause of so many deaths every year, they must be under more strict regulation and should be available to purchase and register only after a thorough background check, regardless of how the gun is purchased. Large extended ammunition clips that allow long periods of firing for any weapon must not be available to the general public from any source for any reason. If you are a gun owner with children, you should also know that you cannot hide your guns well enough that your children can't or won't find them. Lock them safely away. Those groups who are often considered to be a part of the gun lobby appear to take an approach to gun ownership which basically seems to say, anything goes. This is extremely dangerous, almost to the point of being foolhardy. Although it is not uncommon for a gun enthusiast to own several guns, the average citizen does not need a house full of guns, whether they're rifles, shotguns, or pistols. The average citizen does not need an automatic weapon, such as those used on the battlefields of war. There should be laws to prevent occurrences of both. Excuse me. By the same token, every citizen has the right to keep and bear arms according to our Constitution, and that right must be maintained. We, who are all God's children, are not all the same. We do not enjoy or appreciate the same things in this life. We must learn not to be so critical of others who walk a path that is different from our own. As another area of discussion that divides us as a people and as a country, let's now consider the subject of taxes. My statement about taxes will be relatively brief. The laws in this country have been written to create a burden for the average working family that is inequitable to the extreme when compared to the burden that is placed on the corporate structure and on the extremely wealthy, who own, control, or greatly benefit or profit financially from the holdings and profits of the corporate and industrial world. Excuse me. I do not include real and true small businesses here when I speak of the corporate structure. And I make that distinction because some of the largest businesses in the world qualify under the current legal definition to be classified as small businesses. Do not misunderstand. All should pay their fair share of taxes, including the average working families. But note that I said fair share. I'm not trying to say that the dollar amount or even the burden should be equal for everyone. I know that's not reasonable, but it could be a great deal more equitable than it is today. The great wealth that is made in the United States and elsewhere each year through capital gains, with the possible exception of the gains received from the sale of the private home in which we reside, should and must be taxed at the same rate as income from physical labor. Corporate welfare and tax loopholes for the large corporations and the very wealthy who own, control, or greatly profit from these corporations must be stopped. Lobbying for any purpose that favors personal private interests, business or corporate interests, or lobbying that does not benefit large segments of the population, such as seniors or children, or minorities, or those physically or mentally challenged, or for a majority of the people, must be very strictly and totally prohibited. Just saying, however, that such lobbying helps those mentioned in the last statement, as large segments of the population, etc., does not make it so. There may be selfish interests that will profess that their lobbying is for the right purpose as outlined, but upon investigation it may be found to be otherwise. Just taking the word of someone should not be acceptable. The fact that it helps those mentioned as in need, etc., should be more than reasonably verifiable. I want to thank you for watching. In session 11, we'll continue with our consideration of taxes. Thank you.